Well, we begin with politics, where earlier in the week, the Department of State Services, DSS, confirmed that the section of the political class was planning for an interim government in order to truncate the result of the recently concluded general elections. Spokesman for the DSS, Dr. Peter Afunaya, who disclosed this in a statement, said the agency had identified some key players in the plot, but did not give the names of the masterminds. The agency said the planners of the interim government had already held several meetings during which they weighed many options to actualize their plot, including sponsoring endless mass protests across Nigerian cities, securing a warrant to declare a state of emergency or a court injunction to stop the inauguration of the executive and the legislature at the federal and state levels. It declared its support for the president and commander-in-chief in his avowed commitment to each free handover, and we assiduously work in this direction. Well, I've got two gentlemen joining me to discuss this topic. I've got Olufemi Lawson, Executive Director, Center for Accountability. Welcome. Good evening. And also I've got Olushola Jegede. He's a lawyer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let me begin with you, Mr. Jegede. Nigerians have been worried since the DSS mentioned the plot for an interim government. And the question Nigerians are asking is, who in their right minds will make or even think of an interim government?
Well, let me begin by saying that it is an unconstitutional move if anybody is planning to do that. But the DSS, they didn't give more details than the fact that they had intelligence. Mm-hmm. They had information that is pointing towards that directions. And, you know, the intelligence on its own might not be an evidence. Maybe that is why the DSS have not been making any move per se to see whether they want to identify people who are linked to this kind of a plot. However, the law is very clear. The law of Nigeria is clear that Section 1 of the Constitution stipulates clearly that no other person shall take over the government in Nigeria other than the way stipulated in the Constitution. And that procedure stipulated in the Constitution has been followed by INEC, and there's now a president-elect. So if anybody is trying, by virtue of our Constitution, there's no vacuum in government at any time. If you are planning interim government, it's either you are planning to remove the government of the President Muhammadu Buhari, or you are planning to remove the government of President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29, because by that money, he will become the president of Nigeria. So at what point do they want to force this kind of a interim government? And whichever plan, whichever way they might be going through it at any time, it will definitely amount to treason, and is not provided by the law of Nigeria. There is no way anybody can bring in any kind of interim government at this stage. There's no provision for it whatsoever. There's no vacuum. Even when the election even if a clear winner is not in March in the first election, the Constitution has provided for a rerun. But a clear winner was in March in the election that has been declared by INEC, and the losing candidates, they have their right in court to ventilate their grievances, and they are already in court. So there's no provision whatsoever. And if anybody is trying to now think of an interim government, it's as if they are thinking of treason. And with time along the line, we talk about what is even treason is all about. Because any plot of interim government is either I want to be treasonable felony or treason on itself, if it's carried out.
All right, let me come to you, Olufemi Lawson. Why do you think DSS is not mentioning names rather than just hinting on the plot? Why do you think they're not mentioning names and they're not making any arrest already?
I think not mentioning names of those behind this purported plan is not really fair enough, especially when we have seen the public reactions that have trailed that statement credited to the DSS. And one thing we must also understand is that the DSS is not a fire brigade organization that should come out in such a manner without doing its due diligence. I want to believe the DSS, before coming out to make this public proclamation, has done its work to the extent that it has identified this plot and those behind it. And just like he said, Vice Chancellor said, you see, whatever is out of the constitutionally laid down democratic process of electing leaders in this country today becomes an act of treason. So is DSS now, trying to conceal the identities of people who want to, violate the Constitution, who want to use illegal routes to elect or to select, a new set of leaders for the country, where there is still an existing legitimate authority under the incumbent president, which will elapse on May 29. So I think the DSS at this point must stop acting in a fire brigade approach and rather behave like a core national intelligence organization that must have its facts, that must have its details before coming out with such position. And I think Nigerians are more interested in knowing these people who must be termed as the enemy of democracy if truly there are plans to, institute an illegal and alien, system of government into our democracy.
All right, I'm coming back to you, Mr. Jegede. Opposition parties, they've reacted. People like Atiku Abubakar of PDP is saying this is the plot, the interim government plot allegation is a plot to arrest the opposition, and is challenging the DSS to, start naming the people they believe is doing this. What do you make of this challenge?
Yeah, like Mr. Alvin rightly said, they have to have probably coming out on national stage. They have to have DSS have to have tried to make an attempt and name people behind this plot, and even probably make an arrest. And that is why the Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is saying that could it be a plot? You are having a plot within plot. That could it be a plot to actually stop them, to arrest the opposition from exercising their own right of continue to litigate on these matters, even have some peaceful protest. It is within their right. But then I think what actually made that issue, brought it on a national stage, was the comment made by the Vice President of the Labour Party on the fact that they should not swear in Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and they should not constitutionally elected and all those things. And I think that brought that one to a serious national stage. That a lot of people are now thinking, are there some people thinking in this direction? If somebody of his caliber can come on national TV and make those comments, which were just a kind of which were not just facts, which were his opinion. I made it as if it's a fact. It wasn't a fact what he said. And that has traveled far by saying that. So, but the opposition, they continue to push back, especially PDP. When you look at a lot of people in PDP, they are the experienced politicians, like Atiku himself, like the Vice President Okowa. I can't, in my mind, I don't think you will ever attribute that kind of statement to them, because they are here they are today because of that same process. And they knew the president-elect has emerged, and they knew what follows. But this was the comments of the Vice President, chair candidate of Labour Party, that actually shocked the whole country. And when the opinion of the DSS now came again, and that the actual plot was in there, and people were thinking, could it be true and everything? But DSS, maybe they are trying to not to, like I said, maybe they don't want to actually start bringing people in. But this is a serious plot.
It is.
Because it's a serious crime that could lead to death. You're trying to overthrow a government. This is not what you want anybody to conceal. And maybe the DSS just think, okay, maybe it's on a small level, a small discussion, and they just want to take it out of their mind quickly to let them know we are here. Don't go further. That's what I think. Perhaps the DSS is not trying to make arrests at this stage. I think the issues can be resolved.